Hello and welcome to another video. So it's the second day of after the nerfs and we're playing Blood today. Why? Because Blood obviously wasn't nerfed. It was already doing quite well as an anti-meta type deck, especially in a tournament setting, and it was also quite decent on ladder, so I thought why not give it a fair go at the moment. A lot of people always seem to ask me, of course, why run Apostle of Lust? Even as a one-off, this card is still quite decent. The self-damage that you can get and dealing damage to your opponent is nice. Drawing 2 cards compared to your opponent drawing 1 when you're setting up for a potential lethal in the following turn can be quite good. Even this played on turn 5 can be okay. Personally, I prefer it on 6 or 7, comboing it with a cheaper card, potentially going for, you know, Apostle and then a decent 2-drop in the 2-drop setup, but just on its own, it's still a pretty solid card, so as a one-of, definitely worth it for the extra draw power, even though you are running Blood Pact, which is of course your primary draw engine, outside of course Restless Parish, which is also not a bad draw card. Of course your win condition is Dark Feast Bat, but you can also win just through pure sheer damage that you can do. But we're going to get right into this and check it out. So our first match is against Rune. Of course this person didn't get the memo about the nerfs, probably. No, honestly it's just pretty common to still see Rune pop up here and there, as it was a big deck and a lot of people did invest into it, so it's not surprised that people are still playing it. I have seen an uptake in Shadow. Shadow seems to be what the meta will probably be defined as. It was already quite a solid deck before, but now it's even better that things have slowed down just enough that Shadow could kind of get that edge. While I would love to cover Shadow, I looked at a couple of Shadow decks, I'm still missing about 5 legendaries, which I just don't have the cards to build. So unfortunately Shadow is probably not something I'll be covering on this channel, at least not in the rotation capacity. I have got a unlimited deck I'm looking to test out soon. We're actually going to have a lot more unlimited videos coming up, probably in the next day or two, where we're going to have a chunk come out, so that should be nice, to go along with the unlimited cup, so people have some decks to use. Gift of Bloodkin. It's always a good way to start, especially when you can go on turn 3. Of course, I did slightly miscalculate my original plan. I was aiming for a Florus and overestimated. With this deck, you do just want to push for as many decent early drops as you can. I'll even usually throw away a Dark Feast Bat in the early game, just so I can get the favor of early drops. And if I hadn't have messed that turn up as badly as I did, we would have had a lot easier time dealing with anything else our opponent could have thrown at us. At least Kiss of Lust is a nice draw, since it does heal us and remove something pretty easily. And while we're not going to probably get Florus out now, it's definitely not the worst situation to be in. When you're going for Florus, you just always want to make sure your board space is pretty decent. Unfortunately for me, I just miscalculated that, but we're going to be able to get 4 damage here, which is pretty much perfect. That's exactly what we want. It does also mean we've got 7 already dealt to ourselves, as a minimum. And now we have a chance to go for Vera with a Razor Claw, probably, since we've got that to play, so why not use it? And since our other Vera can't actually be used because we have no more Evo points, that probably would have been the better play over the 1-1 here, although the 1-1 does give us the advantage of both dealing self-damage and getting damage to our opponent, which could potentially put them in a much closer position to being killed next turn. Fiery Embrace, that's the card that hurts me the most. Don't like saying that. Fortunately for us, we did get the Dark Feast Bat, so as long as they don't kill us this turn, we should be able to win the game, even with them getting a heal. And seeing Mysterian Rite for full cost is exactly what we want.
I'm shocked.
So our Dark Feast Bat is going to clean up the first game of this video. Since it is our primary win condition, that's not really a huge surprise, and usually turn 8 is where this deck will finish things off. Now we get into the couple of Shadow matchups. Like I said, Shadow has definitely been rising in popularity a little bit. I do wish I could play Shadow. I actually quite enjoy its playstyle when it's a more mid-rangey style Shadow. This, of course, most of these Shadows are Arcus focused, but not as heavily as they used to be. So that's why I don't mind this variant over Arcus, actually. And I've been wanting to give it a really good go for quite a while, but lacking, of course, Argus for one, it makes it very hard to play the deck. Since it does have such kind of like, while it's a mid-rangey style deck, it's definitely very aggressive, which is something I actually don't mind about Shadow. So as you can see, they're just going for as much aggression as they can because they know against BloodCraft, that's really all you can do. And all I could really do was take the hits where I could. So making sure to get as much value out of this 4-1 as I can is definitely the way to go. Having them waste Fran's Curse is definitely the best thing possible, especially since we drew Kiss of Lust. It's only going to be advantage for us at this point. Buffalo Bones, another card that I actually quite like. Mainly because its art style is actually pretty cool. The Evo is quite fun to look at. So, Apostle of Lost on 5. Again, this will give us a great advantage when it comes to draw. And a 5/4 body is actually really good. Especially in this early game. Unfortunately, I don't have a good way to remove the entire board yet, so I do really need to draw an Evil Eye Demon if we want to have a good chance. So we just need to remove this now. Or at least deal as much as we can before anything bad happens. So that is going to be 4, which will give us the Florus. The Servant of Lust is going to actually heal us for 8. So that's really nice. It's why I was taking so much self-damage, because I expected to be able to heal by 8. And even with that riskier board, since they are only on turn 6, they can't really do a lot. They had to waste pretty much everything to remove that. So that looked really good for us, especially with Omen of Lust. So Omen of Lust plus probably Wings of Lust? Yeah, Wings of Lust and an Evo will get us another 6 damage, plus the 1 on board, so totaling for 7. And we're going to get some self-damage, which would have set up our Dark Face Bat for a very close lethal. And for the final matchup, another Shadowcraft deck. Like I said, it seemed to be taking off quite well. Or at least this one has Cerberus leader. It's one of the few leaders I actually do have. So, Florus, Vera, and Alexandrite Demon, not a great start. I'll keep the Alexandrite Demon, mainly because it's a decent 2-drop, and it gives us the potential to draw, which I actually like quite a bit. It's the one thing you want in this Blood deck, is a good amount of draw power to get to those Dark Face Bats, which, like I said, is why you don't mind throwing them away. Mischievous Spirit, not really a problem in this early game. We are going to have to buy some time, though, as if they get too much early game damage, it can really screw up our pattern of self-damage. And with them getting 3 now, it's definitely not optimal. So Blazing Sapphire, going for a draw. It's all I can really do at this point. Evil Eye Demon looks like it should be promising, but we do have to survive that long. So Vera it is. Vera will protect us next turn from pretty much all damage. There's not much that Shadow can really do against Vera. Even if they play Cerberus next turn, killing Vera is basically impossible. Unless they have, you know, of course, a much better turn 5 play, but you can't really pass up playing Hound of Hades. And that's not a great trade. Mainly because, of course, it's not going to do any damage. Would have been much better to use the Cerberus Evo, personally. And now I get the removal with the Evil Eye Demon and 4 damage to Shadow's face, setting us up for a very, very good game. So Azure Maiden, that's definitely not a bad one. So they are going to leave out my Vera. So there's not many ways to remove a 4/4 with 2 points. Wings of Lust is going to allow us to heal, which is exactly what we need right now. Leaving them at just 7 health when we've most likely got a very, very capable Dark Feast Bat now at 6 damage. And we have a whole nother turn to do some more self damage. Of course, they did slow my plan down a little bit. But only slightly. So this extra Omen of Craving probably isn't going to be enough. They actually need to remove both followers here to win the game, as our Dark Feast Bat will just absolutely end this. As long as I do things, of course, in the right order. Or at least in the right way. I mean, using the Evo point, it wouldn't matter which order I did this in. Because the 2 heal would make 0 difference, but just for some optimal play, we want to make sure we order that right. So BloodCraft still living up to the hype as far as it goes. It's definitely probably not right on the top tier at the moment, but it's still an extremely solid deck. It's why I do see a lot of competitive players taking things like BloodCraft into tournaments, because it is just that good as far as it goes. Ladder matches, again, can be a little more difficult just because there's a lot more random decks out there than what you'd see in a tournament structured meta, but the deck still does quite well. It performs and handles alright. Once you kind of get used to the self damage, usually you know exactly how much you can take before you're at risk from each deck. It's just a matter of learning matchups, and once you do that, winning doesn't become that difficult. Really, the only thing that can screw you over is just bricking hardcore in the early game. Drawing all 3 Florists, drawing Evil Eye Demon, or Apostle of Lust and Dark Feast Bat, any of those in your very early hand can screw you over. Even Omen of Lust can actually screw you quite badly. But nearly anything else is actually pretty alright to draw. So, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe for more content. You'll find deck list in the description below. Until next time, see ya.